A powerful, thought-provoking intro music starts and fades slightly into the background. They didn't admit it aloud. Not yet. But long before the bombs fell over Berlin, before Hitler's pistol echoed in that bunker, his own generals had already surrendered, not to the Allies but to a profound truth. A truth they buried in silence. If you believe history's loudest moments are made of explosions and speeches, then stay with me, because the real turning point of World War II began in silence. First, if you're fascinated by the hidden depths of history, subscribe to Still Tale. We bring you stories that honor those who face truth even when it was most dangerous to see it. In the summer of 1941, the German war machine stood at its towering peak. The maps in Hitler's headquarters glowed with red lines racing eastward, Poland crushed, France fallen, and now the vast plains of the Soviet Union opening like a conquest without end. Officers laughed over coffee and cigars, calling it the final campaign. Their medals caught the sunlight like tiny mirrors of arrogance. Yet among them, a few men, quiet, seasoned, scarred by another war, saw something different. The columns of tanks stretched too far, the fuel ran dry before nightfall. The snow came early, and the men were tired. One general wrote home, never daring to send a letter, "We are winning battles, but losing the future." It was the first whisper of doubt. The first fracture in the illusion of invincibility. By November, the Russian winter came with a vengeance no army could conquer. Engines froze. Rifles jammed, horses died standing. At the gates of Moscow, the once unstoppable Wehrmacht stalled, not defeated by armies, but by reality itself. Hitler screamed for attacks that could not be made. The generals obeyed, their faces stone, their thoughts traitorous. In candlelit dugouts, frost forming on their mustaches, they no longer spoke of victory, only survival. The silence among them was heavier than the snow outside. For the first time, they began to understand this war would not end in triumph. It would end in ruin. "Courage is not the absence of fear," one of them muttered, "but the presence of truth, when truth could kill you." This was the year ambition devoured reason. Hitler demanded the impossible, to split the army, to take both Stalingrad and the Caucasus. When Field Marshal von Bock protested, he was dismissed. "You always see black clouds," Hitler hissed. But Bock had seen them because he was standing beneath one. Months later, Stalingrad became a frozen tomb. When General Paulus begged to break out, the Führer forbade it. The Sixth Army was abandoned, condemned to death. In Berlin, propaganda celebrated heroic resistance. In truth, it was the beginning of the end. Inside every officer's mind, a single realization whispered louder than any command. The war is already lost. They would never say it aloud, not yet. But in that silence lay the funeral of an empire. By 1943, the world map looked the same, but the eyes of the generals did not. They no longer believed in Hitler's destiny, only in his delusion. Kursk was their last gamble, the final roll of a broken dice. When the Red Army crushed it, even the most loyal officers stopped pretending. In corridors of marble and smoke, they began to whisper the unthinkable, not how to win, but how to end him. Stauffenberg, Beck, Tresco, men who had once sworn eternal loyalty now conspired in shadow. They were not traitors. They were patriots too late. "To obey a madman is treason to reason," one wrote in his diary, but treason in words was death. So most remained silent, their courage buried beneath obedience. Then came Normandy, the Western Front burned. Rommel rode the lines, dust on his uniform, shame in his heart. He looked upon his soldiers, boys really, and said softly, "Every day we prolong this war is a crime." When he dared suggest peace, Hitler sent his answer through silence. The silence of poison. Rommel died by his own hand, granted the privilege of an honorable death. That moment, more than any battle, revealed the truth. Germany was not at war with the world anymore. It was at war with itself. The officer corps, once proud, precise, unstoppable, had become prisoners of their own obedience. The Reich was dust and despair. The Red Army stormed Berlin, the Allies crossed the Rhine, and still Hitler raved of victory. In a bunker beneath the ruined capital, he accused his generals of cowardice, but they no longer listened. Their eyes no longer saw him as a leader, only as a ghost. They had realized the truth years before. Now they were merely living its consequence. When he finally admitted defeat and raised the pistol to his temple, the world above barely noticed. For his generals had already buried him in their hearts long ago, not with bullets but with silence. Outside, as the surrender was signed, one officer whispered to another, "We fought for pride. We lost for obedience." The words hung in the air like smoke that refused to fade. When peace returned, the surviving generals spoke freely, too freely. They blamed Hitler, the party, the SS, anyone but themselves. They claimed they had known, that they had tried to stop him. Some had, most had not. Their tragedy was not that they saw defeat too late. It was that, even when they saw it, they lacked the courage to act upon it. For courage, in its truest form, is not found on the battlefield. It lives in the quiet refusal to serve a lie, even when silence would destroy you. History remembers their battles. But the real war, the one that mattered, was fought in their conscience. And it was there, long before Berlin fell, that Hitler's generals truly lost. Where are you watching from tonight? Comment below, share your thoughts on this incredible story, and subscribe to Still Tale for more deep dives into the silent battles that shape our world. Thank you for watching.